I traveled hours on a crowded bus to bring her favorite cake, but when I reached, she was already feeding a slice to another boy, while mine melted in the box I carried like a fool. I need to get this out before I lose my mind completely. My hands are shaking as I type this. 3 hours ago, I was on a Greyhound bus clutching a box from Alina's favorite bakery. The same bakery where we had our first date 2 years ago. The same place where she always got that expensive chocolate raspberry cake that cost me half a day's wages. I'm such an, let me back, 2 weeks ago I messed. No, that's not right. 2 weeks ago I destroyed everything good in my because I thought I deserved better. Her name was Jessica, works at the coffee shop near my office. Always smiled at me, always remembered my order, made me feel important when Alina started working those double shifts at the hospital and barely had energy to text me back. She doesn't appreciate, Jessica would say, leaning over the counter. A guy like shouldn't be ignored. God, I was so incredibly. It started innocent. Extra long conversations. Staying late at work just to grab coffee when Jessica's shift ended. I told it was just friendship, just nice to feel wanted again. Alina was stressed. Med school, then residency applications. She'd come home exhausted, fall asleep during movies, cancel our date. I felt invisible in my own relationship. Should come this party, Jessica texted me one Friday. Might be fun to get out. I should have deleted that text. Should have gone home to Alina like I promised. Instead, I told Elena I was working late and went to some house party where I barely knew anyone. 3 drinks in, Jessica and I were talking on the back porch. 4 drinks in, she was sitting way too close. 5 drinks in, I stopped caring about anything except how good it felt to be the center of someone's attention again. Her. More than her in some stranger's guest room while my girlfriend of 2 years was probably studying for her boards. Thinking I was grinding away at overtime to help pay for her applications. The worst part. It wasn't even good, it was hollow and desperate and wrong from the very first second. But I was too far gone to stop. I woke the next morning with my phone buzzing. Elena had texted me at 2 a.m. Hope work isn't too rough, I love. Can't wait to see tomorrow. I right there on Jessica's bathroom floor. But did I confess? Did I come clean and beg for forgiveness like a man should? No, I doubled down. Started seeing Jessica regularly. Convinced Elena and I were already over. That we'd grown apart. That this was just the natural end of things. What kind of monster thinks like that? Elena knew something was wrong. She kept asking if I was okay, if we were okay. I'd lie and say I was just stressed about work. She'd make my favorite dinner. Try to plan little dates between her insane schedule. I miss us, she said last week, curled against me on the couch. Once I get through boards things will be different, I promise. I just nodded and went back to texting Jessica. Yesterday Alina called me crying. She'd failed her practice exam, the one she'd been studying for 12 hours a day. She was devastated. I don't know if I can do this, she sobbed into the phone. Maybe I'm not smart enough for medical school. Maybe I should just give point. For the first time in weeks I felt like again. The me who loved this woman. Who wanted to support her dreams even when they were us. Don't dare give her. We're the smartest person I know. One bad practice test doesn't define Pa. I need something good today. Something to remind me why I'm doing this. That's when I remembered. Her favorite cake. The chocolate raspberry one from our first date spot. It was a 4-hour round trip by bus but she was worth it. She was worth everything. I called in sick to work. Caught the 8 a.m. Greyhound. Spent 3 hours on that cramped bus thinking about how I was going to surprise her. How I was going to tell her I loved her and that I believed in her and that I was sorry for being distant lately. I even bought flowers at the station. White roses. The cake cost me a $45. The bus ticket was another $30. I had $12 left in my account, but seeing her smile would be worth eating ramen for the next 2 weeks. I was so proud of. So excited to be the boyfriend she deserved again. The apartment complex was quiet when I got there at 2 p.m. I used my key planning to set everything as a surprise before she got home from her study group, but she was already there. In our living room. On our couch. Some guy I'd never seen before. Tall, wearing scrubs. Probably another medical student from her program. They were just studying. He had his arm around her. She was laughing at something on his laptop. Really laughing. The way she used to laugh with me. And then I saw it. On the coffee table. A white bakery box. Open. Half a chocolate raspberry cake inside. The same cake I was carrying. The same cake that was now melting in the summer heat while I stood there like with flowers in one hand and my heart in the other. Alina looked and saw me. Mark, what are you doing here? I thought we're at work. The guy looked confused, started to get. This is my boyfriend. Alina said quickly. Mark, this is David. He's helping me prepare for the retake. But I wasn't listening to explanations. I was staring at that cake box, at how comfortable they looked together, at how happy she looked. Happier than she'd looked with me in months. I brought cake, I said stupidly, holding my melting box. Alina's eyes filled with tears. Mark, didn't have to. But already have cake. The silence stretched forever. David mumbled something about needing to leave and gathered his books. Alina walked him to the door, whispering apologies. When she came back, I was still standing there holding my melting cake and wilted flowers. How long? I asked. It's not what think. How long, Elena? We're just friends, he's been helping me study. That's all. But I could see it in her eyes. The guilt. The same guilt I'd been carrying around for 2 weeks. She'd been pulling away from me the same way I'd been pulling away from her. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. 2 boxes of the same cake on the table between us like some kind of sick joke. I know about Jessica, she said quietly. My turn to ice. My friend Sarah saw. At that coffee shop multiple times. She said, close. I opened my mouth to deny it, but what was the point? It started as just friendship, I said, which was the lamest excuse in history. Just friendship. Elena repeated. Like me and David. We stared at each other across that enormous space of 2 feet that felt like a canyon. At least David hasn't me, she said. Yet. That word hung in the air. Yet. I was gonna tell, she continued. About pulling away from us. About David. About how I've been feeling. But then surprised me with this grand gesture and I realized. Realized what? That we're both already gone, aren't we? I wanted to deny it, wanted to for us. But sitting there with our matching cakes and matching gut, I knew she was right. I love, I said, because it was true. Even after everything it was still true. I know, she said. I love too. We divided our stuff that night. She kept the apartment. I moved back in with my roommate from college. We were civilized about it. Mature adult. The whole thing took 3 hours. 2 years together, packed into boxes in 3 hours. I drove away with my melted cake on the passenger seat. Never even tasted it, that was yesterday. Today I found out Alina and David are officially together. Sarah posted a picture of them studying together, and Alina was wearing his sweater. It took her exactly 24 hours to move on. Meanwhile, I can't even look at Jessica anymore. Called and ended whatever we had this morning. She seemed relieved, honestly. So now I'm alone with my melted cake and my guilt and the knowledge that I away the best thing in my for someone who didn't even really want me. But here's the thing that's eating me alive, I don't get to be the victim here. I don't get to be heartbroken about Alina moving on when I moved on first. I don't get to be angry about David when I was with Jessica. I don't get to feel betrayed when I'm the one who betrayed us first. All I get is this empty apartment and the knowledge that somewhere across town, the woman I love is probably laughing with someone else. Someone who didn't cheat on her. Someone who brought her cake because he wanted to. Not because he felt guilty. Someone who deserves her. Remember how I thought rock bottom was finding Alina with David and that cake? Turns out rock bottom has a basement. The first sign should have been Sarah unfriending me on social media. Then Mike from our friend group stopped responding to texts. Then another friend. Then another. I was so focused on my own misery that I didn't realize what was happening until it was too late. Elena told them. She told everyone. Not the whole truth, mind. Just her version. The version where I was the cheating boyfriend who abandoned her during the hardest time of her. The version where she was the innocent victim who deserved better. Which, to be fair, she did deserve better. But she left out the part about David. Left out the part about how she was already pulling away. Left out the part about her own matching cake guilt. By the time I figured out what was happening, I was already the villain in everyone's story. Tom, who I'd known since college, sent me a text that just said, "Dude. Elena, during medical school, what's wrong with?" My cousin posted a vague Facebook status about people who can't appreciate what they have. Right after out with Alina's sister. Even my coworkers started treating me differently. Apparently Alina had friends at the hospital where my company does IT work. Word spreads fast in a small town. The coffee shop where Jessica works. Yeah, I can't go there anymore. Not because of Jessica but because Alina's study group meets there now. With David, they've claimed it as their territory. I walked in there last Tuesday, desperate for caffeine before a big presentation, and the entire table went quiet. 6 medical students just staring at me like I'd committed. Elena looked from her textbook. For a second I thought she might say something. Maybe acknowledge that this whole situation was complicated, that we were both responsible. Instead, she looked right through me like I was invisible. David put his hand on her shoulder. Protective, possessive. I ordered my coffee from Jessica, who couldn't even make eye contact. The whole transaction took 30 seconds but felt like 30 years. As I was leaving, I heard one of Elena's study partners whisper. "That's him. That's the guy who cheated." Another voice, "Poor Elena, she's so much better off." I wanted to turn around and explain. Wanted to tell them about the cake, about how we were both already gone, about how it wasn't that simple. But how to explain nuance to a room full of people who've already decided the monster. Work has become unbearable. My boss Mr. Chen called me into his office yesterday. "Mark, I need to talk to you about something delicate." My stomach dropped. Had Elena complained about me somehow? Was I about to get fired for my the hospital contract? He continued. "They've requested that someone else handle their IT needs going forward." What? Why? Mr. Chen looked uncomfortable. They didn't give specifics. Just said there had been some personal conflicts that might interfere with professional relationships. Personal conflicts. That's what my destroyed had become. A diplomatic way of saying I was too to be around Alina's workplace. "Sir, I can explain." "I don't need explanations, Mark. I need solutions. We're a good employee, but this contract is worth 40% of our revenue. I'm gonna have to move to other accounts. Other accounts. The small ones. The boring ones. The ones that barely pay enough to cover my rent now that I'm not splitting expenses with Alina." I nodded and left his office, knowing that this was just the beginning. In a town this small, word gets around, reputation stick. The worst part isn't the professional consequences. It's not even the social isolation. It's seeing how happy Alina looks now. I drove past the park where we used to walk our dog last Sunday. There she was with David, throwing a frisbee. She was laughing so hard she could barely catch her breath. Looked younger somehow. Lighter. Like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. The weight of me. I parked across the street and watched them for 20 minutes, heading for it. David the frisbee too far and it landed in a tree. Instead of getting frustrated like I would have, he just laughed and climbed to get it. Alina cheered when he got it down. Actually cheered. Clapped her hands like he just won the Olympics. When's the last time I made her that happy? When's the last time she looked at me the way she was looking at him? I couldn't remember. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom. Honey, Alina's mother called. She wanted me to know what happened. We need to talk. Even the parents know. Even the parents have chosen sides. I drove home to my depressing studio apartment and found an eviction notice taped to my door. Apparently being removed from the hospital contract means I can't afford rent anymore. 30 days. I have 30 days to figure out how to rebuild my entire. That night I did something I'm not proud of. I made an Instagram account and started looking at Alina's posts. She'd made them public again. Before, when we were together, everything was private. She was cautious about social media, didn't want her professional mixed with personal stuff. Now she was posting everything. Pictures of her and David studying together. Videos of them cooking dinner. A story from last weekend where they went hiking and she looked absolutely radiant. The captions killed me. Finally found someone who says my dreams instead of resenting them. Grateful for people who show when it matters. Sometimes the best thing that can happen is realizing deserve better. Each post had dozens of likes and comments. All her friends and family cheering her on, telling her she glowed, telling her David seemed perfect, telling her they were so happy she'd found someone who appreciated her. I scrolled back through her older posts, the ones from when we were together. There I was, in pictures from 6 months ago, a year ago, smiling next to her at parties and dinners and trips. But looking at those pictures now, I could see what everyone else probably saw. I looked distracted, impatient, like I was going through the motions. In one picture from her birthday last year, she was beaming at the camera while I was literally checking my phone. At her birthday dinner. How did I become that guy? How did I become someone who checks his phone at his girlfriend's birthday dinner? The comments on her recent posts started making more sense. Look so much happier now. This is what deserve. I never liked that other guy anyway. That other guy I'd been reduced to, that other guy. I closed the app and my phone across the room. It hit the wall and the screen cracked, which felt appropriate. Sitting there in my empty apartment, surrounded by hastily packed boxes and an eviction notice, I realized something that made me want to disappear entirely. This wasn't just about losing Alina. This was about discovering that I was never the person I thought I was. I thought I was a good guy who made a mistake. Turns out I was just a mistake who occasionally acted like a good guy. I thought Alina and I grew apart naturally. Turns out I pushed her away systematically, day by day, text by text, checked phone by checked phone. I thought the cheating was the problem. Turns out the cheating was just the symptom. The problem was me. Alina didn't just replace me with David, she upgraded. From someone who resented her dreams to someone who celebrated them. From someone who checked his phone at birthday dinners to someone who climbed trees to retrieve frisbees. From someone who made her feel small to someone who made her feel radiant. And now everyone knows it. Everyone can see the difference. My phone buzzed from across the room. A text from an unknown number. Hey Mark, this is David, can we talk? My heart stopped. What could Alina's new boyfriend possibly want to talk to me about?